At this time, I call the October meeting of the County Commission to order. I'd like to ask the County Attorney, Mr. Benjamin Jackson, if he would, to give our invocation. Commissioner Clyde, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag. If you would stand.
Let's do bow our heads. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together, Lord, to do your work in this county. We ask that you give each one of us your wisdom, your guidance, your direction. We ask that you protect us and each and every individual who's here tonight and continue to watch over us as we go out. We thank you for this wonderful country that allows us to meet together and to discuss and debate, Lord. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hope I don't need that. Me too. I have seen times I did, though. Okay, is there item 4, approval of the minutes of the previous meetings? Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Clyde. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Item 5 is the approval of the agenda. I have an addition that I would like to place. I'd like to put it at item 16, and we'll move 16, the adjournment to 17. And it will be a proclamation from the Board of Commissioners recognizing October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Without objection, we'll add that to the item. Is there a motion that the agenda be approved as amended and written?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Wade. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like signs. Same. It's passed. Item 6, departmental reports. A is the Office of Emergency Services, Director Broom.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. You have my written report, and I'll be glad to answer any questions for you that you might have.
Any questions, Director Broom?
One short one, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Clyde.
Under collection agency, $25. What in the world?
They have not done a lot for us. We've had them for several months, or many months, since last year, I believe. No, it was before Chairman Norman came back in office. We put them in, and they have not collected much money. Some months it's zero. But it's a deal where we don't pay anything unless they collect money, and we've called and asked them to get more aggressive, and they say they will, but it's just not coming in.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Director Broom? If not, thank you. Item 6B, Recreation Department, Director Glaze. He is at the Recreation Department. You have his written report that is submitted to you. Six C is the Finance Report, Director Arnett.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, you have my report, and if you have any questions, you can let me know.
Any questions, Director Arnett? I don't have a question, but I have a statement. Y'all notice tonight we have our financial report at the meeting and not a week or two later. We appreciate you. I know you've been over here a lot at night. I saw your car late in the afternoon. Thank you for that. Hope things are going well and you'll.
They are.
6D, Department of Public Works, Director Seymour.
Chairman, members of the board, you have my written reports for Public Works. Don't have anything to add to those. I do have one item that would need your attention tonight. but I'll entertain questions if you have them at this point.
Any questions, Director Seymour? There not being any, Director Seymour.
Yes, sir. As you're aware, I believe it was last month, y'all approved Mr. Jackson to file some liens on property based on monies owed to the Water Department for availability fee. I would like to ask that y'all would entertain the idea of passing a resolution that would allow us to file liens on property for monies owed to the Water Department from this point forward in the amount of $60 or more. Now, keep in mind the availability fee is $10 a month, so at $60 a month, that would put them 6 months in the arrears. Instead of having to come to you, every month or every 2 months to do this, if we pass a resolution, it would give us the authority to do that on a continuation basis. I would like to ask the board to take a look at that and approve it if so be.
Any questions? Is there a motion that we have the county attorney and or the clerk to draw a resolution that says that any of water availability fees not paid within,
Well, $60, in the amount of $60 or more.
in the amount of $60 or more, that we would, county attorney have authority based on reports from Director Seymour to file a lien against the property of these people? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Clyde. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The motion is carried unanimous. Item 7 is a public hearing on the zoning issue. Is there a motion that we go into our public hearing for the rezoning of 3.28 acres from A1 to C1?
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into a public hearing.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I second.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Williams. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion is carried. Director Seymour.
Yes, sir. On Monday, October the 8th, the Planning Commission heard the request for a second time. As you are aware, this board sent it back to them for further review. My board heard the rezoning application again for map 37, parcel 65, which includes 3.28 acres from A1 to C1 for the purpose of truck parking and truck maintenance. My board recommended approval with the following conditions: that buffer requirements be in place, cannot operate during church hours, an annual inspection be performed by the Lincoln County Public Works Office of Code Enforcement, and a building permit be obtained within 1 year of the rezoning. My board, again, recommended approval, a vote of 3-2 for approval.
Okay. I know we have the applicant. Mr. Elam is here. Mr. Elam, would you like to speak? Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of the rezoning to be changed from A1 to C1? There being any, is there anybody here that would like to speak in opposition to the commission changing the zoning from A1 to C1? Yes, sir. If you would, go to the podium. Be sure to speak distinctly into the speaker. State your name.
My name is Ben Parks. And basically, we all know that Booker T was cited 2 times by the EPA, once in 2017 and once in 2013. You know, each of you have seen the pictures, how he kept his place on 220. The issue we have as far as the church is the smell and the soot that he said he would burn off his oil and the contamination of the lot. of the graveyards and the help of the elderly and the sick people. And before this meeting started, I asked Booker T, would he consider selling the land to the church? And he said, no, not at this time. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Parks. Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition, please come to the microphone, speak distinctly into the microphone, state your name for the record. And y'all remember you're on TV, you can go home next week and watch it.
Good afternoon, my name is Annie Anthony, and I'm here to represent Price Grove Baptist Church because this is a family church. And first of all, I would like to say that we're not here to hurt anyone. We can just set aside all difference. But at the end of the day, when we make decisions about anything, not just this here, are we sure that we can go home at night and say that we made the right decision? We just need to make sure that we're doing the right thing, not just because of who we are, who we know, or whatever. We just need to set aside all that. And at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we have made the right decision. Because once this is done, it's undone. So if he says that if he can uphold the stipulations, you don't want it. Okay, they say they do not want it. So I'm just here to say, for the benefit of making the right decisions, yay or nay, will we be able to live with it? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else that wants to speak against the rezoning? Again, come to the microphone, speak distinctly into the microphone, state your name for the record, even though I know each and every one of you that's walking up here.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Murray.
And to your Board of Commission and to Price Grove and all the members. Like it was stated earlier, I have no problem with T or any other man making a living, an honest living. That's what we're here for. And I said in the planning and zoning, and I talked with Seymour, we go way back. We go way back, you and our commission, back when the city dump was on Old Peterborough Road, remember? Mm-hmm. We bagged up and you corrected that. Because you came down and stood up in our bedroom and you smelled the odor. I don't see how that got passed. You come on, you talk with us about the county bond. We got that passed. But back up to the city dump, the treatment and the stuff what spilled and the water, the well, it's tore up the well, so you put us meters down there, and we had to take and run the meters from the meters to the house. That's how we got away from the well, contaminated well. We is always, Peterborough Road, Old Peterborough Road is a dump. It ain't nothing to do with T. It could have been anybody else want to put something down. You would have had this reaction. There ain't nothing against him. But we just trying to say, when is the buck going to stop and when we bag up and just do the right thing? We put a trailer park down there. I don't think anyone done visit back there because you got sewer, raw sewer on top of the water back there and people's water bagging up in people's back door. We don't know about that because we don't have people to come and communicate to our commission, or the commission don't even ride through their district or whatever we doing, but it's just about time for Lincoln County, like it was said now, will we be able to sleep and agree with our conscience about surrendering the right thing. Nothing to hurt anyone. The church don't want to compromise or whatever, so they don't want it there. The pastor is here, Pastor Parks, and a lot of the members. I've been through a lot with old and new Petersburg Road. It's not a black and white thing, a black thing. It's just time for us to do the right thing. And I appreciate it, and I see my commission there, and I already got a text from him. I know business is business, and try to run it is hard to do. But I disagree with him, and we ain't gonna fall out about that. I'm still gonna shake his hand and communicate with him, but I just think it's time to stop and just see what we can do. Now, I'm kind of I'm trying to see his point. If he want to get in the right condition, how I say that? Right environment, a right zone where a lot of trucking come by, where he can be able to make his living. But I see what the church is talking about. People is riding by, church anniversary, the community is trying to grow, and people is trying to improve their yards, their house, and stuff like that. And some of us might say, it's a little thing, but it was said last night what you wanted at Tuesday night, what you wanted at your house. It was said no, but it still got voted down 3-2. I don't understand why we got people on the board don't want this at their place, but they want to put it somewhere else to enter to hurt someone else. That don't make any sense to me now. And don't have to have, I ain't just fell off the cabbage truck yesterday, Mr. Chairman. But I'm just here to say that I'm against it, the church against it, the community against it, but it ain't got nothing to do with Mr. T. Let that be stated. But like I said, it's about time for us to stop and bag up. And even though I heard it say it was there before, well, it wasn't right. It wasn't right when we put it there. When we allow it to happen because they said something about wasn't zoning, anything, if you let stuff go on because it was there before and we knew it wasn't right, don't you think about time for us to correct it? For this would not happen again in another community or another church. I pray that we do the right thing. And then, like I said earlier, it's nothing against Mr. Elam. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Reverend Parks, you would state your name, speaking to the mic. I know you know how to speak in the mic.
I'm going to try to stand back. Mr. Commissioner, to the Board of Commissioners, I stand on behalf of Prices Grove Baptist Church and myself again. To T, it's nothing personal. It's just as I listened to all the comments that have been made, I did sat in on the meeting on Monday night. I was here at the last meeting. And again, as I say, no offense to anyone, but as you stand as a representative of not only the church, but as a representative of the community, I know you said that this was some things that happened years ago. There was different leadership there years ago. You take a young pastor such as myself that's trying to advance the kingdom of God, and you're trying to push the church forward and push God's people forward, and you bring something like this as into the community, people may look and think that, oh, this is nothing, or this community, this may benefit the community, but you have to take in consideration that this is already here. Prices Grove Baptist Church, if you ride by the sign and you see the establishment date on this sign, it says established in 1916. That church was already established there. This is something that you're trying trying to bring in here, and we're trying to upbuild God's kingdom. And I just see this as a hindrance to what we're over there trying to do. This will be a stumbling block to the community, because we not only represent Prices Grove, we represent the entire Lincoln County. Because if you walk along that churchyard, along that cemetery, you will maybe see not everybody in that church have names out there on their headstone, may not be members of Prices Grove Baptist Church, but you will see the name, the list goes on and on and on. So you just can't say it's just Prices Grove members that have a problem with this. You may walk along the street and find somebody else that might have an interest vested into Prices Grove, that might just be riding by one day and say, I might want to stop by this little country church and come in and get my soul saved. So as a pastor here in the community, I have a responsibility to these members that have a concern here. I have a responsibility to the community of Lincoln County. Therefore, again, it's nothing personal, but as upbuilding of God's kingdom and have a responsibility to the people of that church. I am too a breast cancer survivor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've had 11 surgeries from 2014 all the way to 2018, and I thank God that I am still here. I am asthmatic. So when we talk about the soot and the things that may be contamination into the air, and they talked about at the last meeting, having someone to communicate with T to let him know when we have functions. As the pastor of the church, I'm always at the church. So there not be a time when I'm not able to say, okay, hi, I'm going to be at the church today. I'm always at the church. So I'm not going to be able to pick up the phone and say, I'm going to be there today. And there's going to be a time where I'm there, and he might decide he want to burn oil that day or burn fuel that day or whatever it is they may be doing. I might want to walk the grounds of Prices Grove Baptist Church, because I am the pastor and have been the pastor for the last 10 years over there at the church. So I'm asking you all, if you can find it in your heart, look at where we're coming from. Look at where I'm coming from as a young pastor and have been pastoring there for the last 10 years. And right now, I don't foresee going anywhere anytime soon. We are trying to advance the kingdom. We are trying to build up the community. And this church is a pillar in the community. Someone else may not see it that way, but for us that are over there that are laboring in the vineyard, we see it that way. And we have a heart to do what God would have us to do. And this is a stumbling block. Again, no offense to anyone. I apologize to him in advance. But I'm asking you all to find it in your heart. Find it in your heart to see where we're coming from. You have to deal with the fact, and the fact of the matter is, Prices Grove Baptist Church is there, have been there, and I don't see it going anywhere no time soon. So again, if you can think yourselves and just find it in your heart to understand where we're coming from. We're not trying to be inconsiderate. We're not trying to overlook anyone. We're not trying to bully anyone. But you all know for yourselves, if you serve in a community church and you serve under a pastor and under leadership, and I know most of you do, you understand where I am coming from, and I know you have the same heart for God that some of us in here have, and you want and you are supposed to want to upbuild God's kingdom, and that is what we are over there trying to do. And maybe when some of you ride down Prices Grove Road, it might look to you like it's nothing, but to some of us and to some people in that community, that is all they have. And that is what we standing here fighting for. So I'm asking you all, please find it in y'all heart to hear us out, and please consider what we're asking y'all to consider today. Thank y'all very much, and God bless y'all.
Thank you, Pastor. Anyone else would like to speak? Anyone else? Okay. Mr. Turner, do we vote in the public hearing, or do we close the public hearing before we vote?
You vote in the public hearing,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I could, and this might be a question for council, are we allowed to add to the stipulations or change the stipulations that come out of committee?
Yes, sir.
All right, I would like to see the stipulation for annual inspection moved up to a quarterly inspection, with the understanding if the motion passes and if he fails a quarterly inspection, his business license will be pulled until it's corrected.
Commissioner Collins, let me address that.
Okay.
I think the ordinance says in Director Seymour and I looked at that this morning. The ordinance says that correct me, Seymour, if I'm wrong, but doesn't it say that, doesn't he give us do we have the authority to do what he's saying, or does the ordinance
Yes, sir,
says
you
it has
do.
to? We can do it as often as we want to.
You can do the inspection as often as you want to. The what cannot change is the permit issued within 1 year.
Okay,
Yes,
I
sir.
got you. I knew it was one of them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Collins, are you wanting to add into the stipulation that item 3 would go if this passes from an annual inspection to a quarterly inspection?
Yes, sir, I do.
The clerk will make a note of that.
Then I have a question, Mr. Chairman, for the Director Seymour.
Commissioner Collins.
All right, if anybody is inspected and found to be in violation, what is your recourse? I mean, do you shut them down, or how does that work?
It just depends on what the violation is. If the violation is not of an environmental nature, then we handle it in-house, and typically we would give a period of time, 30 days, 45 days to correct it, and then we would go back and inspect it, and then at that time we would release it. If it's an environmental issue, we would probably enjoin EPD and have them, because that's their specialty, that's what they do, and we would enjoin them to come in, and at that point we would kind of play second seat to EPD, and whatever they decided to do was what would happen.
Okay,
One more question, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Collins.
You issue a citation that's non-EPA,
Yes, sir.
30 days to correct.
Yes, sir.
What if it's not corrected in 30 days?
If it's not corrected in 30 days, we would cite him and send him to court as a violation of the county code.
What would it take to just tell them you cannot conduct business anymore until it's corrected?
Well, I have the authority as the planning and zoning director or public works director to withdraw any business license for an issue like that. So I could withdraw it for 45 days, 30 days, until he got it corrected and then reissue. I have that authority by code, yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Normally, we do our questions after a motion is made and second, then you go to a question period. I'm going to change this just a little bit tonight. Don't nobody come back and tell me I did it this time and I set a precedent now. I don't mean to do that. Commissioner Wade, I know you want to say something.
Yes, sir, I was just on Mr. Elam's other properties. He has some property, 10 acres out on Crook Road, and has some other properties, I guess, on Augusta Highway.
Yes, sir. I don't think it's 10 acres on Crook Road, but yes, he has some property on Crook Road where he resides currently today.
Has any EPA testing been done on those properties?
No, sir.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge.
Well, we really don't know what to expect then, do we?
No, sir, I
mean,
don't.
He's got a history there, and if we haven't done that.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
That's an issue I just learned about in the last 48 hours. And I've had conversation with Mr. Elam about that, and he understands where he's at, and he understands the issues at not only Crook Road, but also at 220, and we've had long, in-depth conversation about that.
Well, while I'm speaking to you,
And it will be addressed. It will be addressed.
I have a lot of confidence in your planning committee. And I don't know of a time that we have ever gone against you in your committee, but it has been a 3-2 vote.
That is correct.
And I know my representative on your panel that I appointed, he has voted against this twice.
Correct.
And I think I would be not supporting him if I went against his recommendation. Thank you, sir.
I understand.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Williams,
to Mr. Elam,
you would pull the mic up to you a little bit closer. There you go.
when you were on Highway 220 West, Mr. Seymour, was there any oil samples taken from that location, and what was the findings?
If you're going to speak, you're going to have to come to the microphone where it picks you up on the video.
Yes, there were samples taken, but I volunteered those. I wasn't required to do them. I went ahead and do it just to go through and prove a point that there was nothing in the soil, there was nothing contaminating anything, and it was negative.
No further question.
That's it.
Okay.
Nothing else.
Any other questions, Commissioner Williams?
No.
Okay. Before I call for a motion on the recommendation, I want to make just a few comments. I certainly, and I'm speaking as they did, as myself, not to the totality of the board. I certainly understand the concerns of not only Price's Grove membership, family, and friends. I understand the concerns of the people in the neighborhood on both sides of Price's Grove Church. I've always had a liking to Price's Grove. I think Mr. Murray remembers, and if you go back and look some 15 years or so ago, my brother and I deeded an acre of land to Price's Grove Church for your cemetery that we gave the church. I think that Mr. Elam has some serious problems with two pieces of property in Lincoln County. I also think, quite frankly, that Lincoln County government has failed on what we should have done on that piece of property years ago, not months ago. Mr. Elam I have talked to him. I know he's talked to Director Seymour on several occasions. It is heartbreaking, and he's not by himself, but it's heartbreaking to see the pictures, and I have been to one piece of property and looked at it personally on 220. It is the responsibility of the county government to see to it that these type things don't happen. And I think over the last 10 years or so, that some things have slipped through the cracks. And I'm saying that a year or two before I left and a year or two since I've been back. I take responsibility. I'm not passing the buck to anybody. We've got to do a better job of making sure that people don't do what has happened on these two pieces of property. With that said, Mr. Elam has been told, and I think he knows, that that's got to be cleaned up. And it's got to be cleaned up quick. On the advice of counsel, when Judge Hammond then was county attorney, some 8 years ago, and over the course of the last month since this meeting happened with Attorney Jackson, we have a responsibility that we have to go by. That don't mean we have to have a unanimous vote. Each and every commissioner can make their determination as to how they want to vote. We have been advised, and I have been advised by counsel, that we can't just deny a zoning issue because of certain things, you have to have a reason. I think that what has to happen is, and what you need to hold this commission to, now and in the future, is that we do a better job of doing what we say we're going to do and what the regulations are that we're not completely enforcing. And that is that if this passes, Mr. Elam, I hope you certainly understand the regulations if this passes, that all eyes are going to be on you, from the community, from the church, from the commission, and from the code enforcement. We, like the people that have spoke, encourage businesses to come to Lincoln County. I sincerely believe that they do wish you well. I don't know how good a company y'all will be if you're over there. I hope it will be good. Commissioner Wade alluded to the fact that the commission, on most of the time, in my years here since we've had it, even in the past, I don't recall the commission overruling the recommendation from the Planning Commission but one time. It could have been maybe twice, but I don't remember but one. We try to follow the lead of the commission. As you know, and as has been stated, the Planning Commission has voted twice. What the ordinance gives the county the authority to do is what we did last month, and that was to send it back to the Planning Commission to give it another 30 or 32 or 3 days or whatever the days were between the two meetings. Hopefully that some kind of conclusion could come between the applicant and those that oppose it. Some resolution could be found. Obviously that didn't happen. The ordinance of the Code of Lincoln County does not give us the authority to send it back again. We can send it back only one time, then we have to make a decision as to whether we're going to uphold the recommendation or we're going to deny the recommendation. I think on the advice of the council, I don't know where we have anywhere that we can legally deny this zoning application because, and I understand exactly what everybody's saying, and it may not have been, it should have been, but it was. But you got an M2 across the street. C1 is about the lightest thing you can have outside of your A1, agriculture residential. M2 is not that way. You can have that, that's your chip mills and your harder industry type things. I know that the Planning Commission looked at it a couple of times. I talked to one of the Planning Commission members about it a day or two after this meeting last month. It came back to us the same way. Planning Commission members Madison, Kennedy, Coleman Kennedy, and Ms. Ellis voted 3-2 to recommend that the County Commission approve the rezoning request. The other two commissioners, Commissioner Scott, I don't even know the other one, what's his name?
Bobby Strozier.
Yeah, Mr. Strozier, the other member, voted to deny it, both times. That's the way the vote came back to us. With all that being said, in closing, we're going to have to make a decision. We got to vote. I want you to know that I have not put any pressure on any commission to vote anyway. In fact, I know one that's going to vote no, and I told that commissioner that That was her privilege. Now I tell you who it was. I didn't mean to say her. So, with that said, we have to do one of two things. First thing we have to do, we have to have a motion to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission. If that fails, then we vote the other way. Is there a motion? We're going to do this, and I'll have the question after motion a second if you don't object to that.
Are we going to have any discussion again, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Mr. Chairman, for the sake of discussion, I make the motion that we follow the Planning Commission's recommendation and approve it.
You have a motion by Commissioner Clyde to accept the recommendation of the zoning. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Collins to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Commissioner Wade.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. This decision or this recommendation from Director Seymour's panel, Planning and Code Enforcement panel, is made to the commissioners, and the commissioners, this falls on us to make this decision, nobody else. So I'd like to point that out. And as the chairman pointed out, do we need a reason? We have to have a reason for not approving this. And my question to Director Seymour, and I apologize for my ignorance, but in our 10-year comprehensive plan, we have identified areas for commercial, residential, historical, and my question is, does this little 3-acre area fit into our 10-year comprehensive plan?
The comprehensive plan has what's called a future use map, okay? A future land use map included in it, and those are areas that you believe at some point in time in the future would become commercial properties or agricultural properties that aren't. Typically, those areas are conformed to intersections, major intersections like Clyde's Crossing or what we call Round Pond, which is 220, Bethany Church and McCormick Highway, those type of intersections. However, there are areas in the county that are outside of that boundary, like the industrial parks and things like that. What the code speaks about is spot zoning, okay? And it doesn't say that you can't, but it highly discourages spot zoning, which would be, a C1 in the middle of, 1,000 acres of A1 property. What distinguishes this piece of property a little bit is that there is already some commercial zoning in the area, which would be the M2, which is right across the street, even though there's nothing there. If a manufacturing plant came in there tomorrow, there's nothing that this board could do to stop it. It's zoned M2. You also have a couple of other properties just right down the road. You've got a Georgia Power plant that's right there, which are exempt from zoning laws. And you also have Mr. Aycock, which is right on Petersburg Road, that operates a shop that's grandfathered in. It's still zone A1. However, if he changes the footprint of that facility, if he decides to build an extra building on there, he would have to come before rezoning to do that. So this doesn't really fit into the spot zoning. So right now, this area is not really designated on a future land use map. I mean, the M2 is there. The piece across the street is not on the future land use map. Doesn't mean you can't have it there. It's just a look into the future where you see your growth going. It's not a definite. I know that's hard to understand, but it's just not. A future use map is just what you see in the future happening.
Yes, I understand, but I just believe this is not an area where we have put our focus on commercial development next to the church. So, of course, I'm voting against it, but that's all I got. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Clyde.
This is probably one of the harder decisions. You know, you come up with some, they're not easy, and I guess that's apparent because the planning commission is split twice in the same direction. I've had more calls about this when I stopped at the store, a few things than I have anything, I guess, in my 10 years. And the majority of the people supported T in this that I talked to, and then my good friend Charlie Murray and Seveline in my district, good friends of mine, they, of course, against it, and they contacted me. And I just think from the legal aspect and some of the things that's going on, you know, as bad as it, I hate it. I walked the property. I looked. It does have a lot of pine trees and a boundary, natural boundary between the church cemetery and the church itself and this property, and it was used before for something real similar. And with the recommendations and including the change by Commissioner Collins, I'm supporting it. So.
Any other discussion by members of the board? If not, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, let it be known saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I oppose it.
I oppose, Mr. Chairman.
Have a vote by Commissioner Collins, Commissioner Clyde in the affirmative. You have a vote by Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Wade to deny the thing. You know where the hammer falls now. I have to vote in the affirmative based on legal counsel that we grant the rezoning from A1 to C1 for Mr. Booker. That motion, we come outside of the, that is included though, the quarterly report placed by Commissioner Collins that they inspected. Ladies and gentlemen, with that said, we have voted. I know a lot of you don't like it. I don't either, frankly. But I think what you need to do is to be sure that we make sure that he stays within the guidelines of what he has to do. Is there a motion that we come out of our public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I move we come out of public hearing.
Is there a second?
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Clyde to come out of the public hearing. End discussion. Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The motion is carried. And we are back in our regular session. Item number 8 is the FY 2019 Comprehensive Agreement on the Nutrition Services for the Lincoln County Senior Citizen and Transit. Zay, you look like you're feeling better. Since you made it, I need that diet you got on. Okay, item number 8 is the FY 2019 Cooperative Agreement with the Nutrition Services. We discussed this in the work session. This is to prepare the congregated and the homebound meals for the senior citizens. It's a total cost of $48,638. We paid by all but $4,471. Is that right?
It's $49,638.
$49,638?
Yes, sir. And our portion is $44,771.
That's what I got. I just didn't read it right. That's the total cost for the congregating homebound meals. This agreement is with the Central Savannah River Area Regional Commission, who does it for all the counties in the CSRA. The county's cost is $4,471. Is there a motion giving me the authority and the clerk to sign the resolution or the agreement to continue the Senior Citizens Meal Program?
Mr. Chairman, I make that motion.
Have a motion by Commissioner Williams, and a second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Wade. Any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Wade.
Is this the same contractor that's been supplying
It
mills?
is. We have no say-so in who the contractor is. That's done by the commission. That way, all the senior citizens in the CSRA get from the same person so you get a low bid.
I hope that Director Blunt can stay on top of them. The food I've had over there wasn't that great. No other comments, sir.
Well, $4.45, you get what you pay for. Look,
First, you got to be a senior citizen.
I am. And they
have
got
a
$4.
motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor of the motion, let it be known, saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion's carried. Item number 9, HP Computer List, Director Dockery.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you all for having me. Just real quick to make sure everybody's caught up in here and back at home. What we've got going on in the county for the last 12 or so years is a lot of our computers are going on 12 years old, and the other half is about 5 years old. And for anyone that knows computers, really the average lifespan is about 3 to 4 years. So your day-to-day maintenance on computers is increased. Every day I'm always working on somebody's workstation with something that's failed or them having issues with their workflow. Along with that, with having these older computers and older programs is it's a security risk. Windows 7 is what we're running now. There's only about 3 computers out of the roughly 70 computers that we have that is running Windows 10. So the only computers that are getting full patches right now are about 3 of them. And what that means is, you know, day to day there's always hackers trying to get into many different places. And not saying that they're targeting LinkedIn, but we're not out of that loop. So not having the latest version of Windows just sets us up for failure. And that being said, they're no longer sending patches to patch loopholes in the security and the firewalls, things like that. So what I'm asking right now is if you could table this until I can get some further information. I'm still waiting on some quotes from a couple of companies. So as soon as I get that information, I'll be able to come back before you and so we can see about what y'all say. And also, that's also going to include antivirus and our office. So that's also 2 things that will be in need of renewal at the same time. And if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask me.
What you're saying is that we hadn't got the quotes that we need to purchase what we need to do at this time. So you're asking that we table it until you get some quotes back in, and hopefully that will be between now and the next commission meeting anyway.
That's correct.
Okay, any questions to Director Dockery? Commissioner Clyde.
Austin, is on the warranty situation with them, is that part of your asking for the quote to RFP?
Yes, sir. What I've asked for is, say if we're wanting to do a 5-year lease, HP normally offers a 3-year manufacturer warranty, but I've also put in so that we can see the pricing on what it would be for a 5-year next day on-site replacement. So if anything breaks, they should have an HP representative here with a part the next day so that we can get that fixed and the worker can get back to their day-to-day.
We'll be able to look at the difference in price and decide whether it's worth it
Correct.
or not. Okay.
Correct. And I have at least 3 different companies that are working on a quote for me.
Commissioner Wade.
I think you answered my questions. First of all, I was going to ask you, are you going to get RFPs on the contract? In other words, bids from different companies as to cost. And the other question was, which I think you answered, is we need to make sure that all these computers are cyber ready, and we have the software to make sure we don't have cyber problems. Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Correct. And that's one thing that is upcoming for renewal. Whenever we do this mass replacement, we'll be needing to renew our antivirus protection. And also one thing that we're kind of looking at right now is the integration to move towards cloud storage, cloud integration, which would come in with Office 365, which I'm waiting on a couple of quotes for. And just to kind of put that in simple terms, when you hear Office, you normally think of like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, which is in this Office 365, but that's not what all it's about. That is in this program, but you also get an Exchange server. So we've had a lot of issues with our email. I know Casey Broom can for sure vouch on this. Right. We've had a lot of issues with what we have going on with our email, and so this would offer a solution to that as well. Also, Casey's another example. He is no longer, when he was at the old EMS building, he could access our server here without the need of a VPN. With a VPN, it's expensive, it's slow, and it's just not stable. This would offer all employees to be able to access all their files wherever they are, as long as they have an internet connection.
Commissioner Docker, I appreciate that. In essence of time, and, I'm going to move this and call for a vote to table this, because each commissioner will have time again, either at a call meeting or a work session, to go through all of this, depending on when we do it, whether it's at a call meeting, if we have some other things to do or not. I think it can be probably put on the November agenda and be discussed in length again in our work session. We won't have to do that here. So we're not voting to do anything except to table this till we get some more information. Is there a motion that we table this on the request of Director Dockery?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that it be.
Last second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Williams made the motion. Commissioner Collins seconded the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known, saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like and sign. The motion is carried. Thank you, Director Dockery.
Thank y'all.
I know you got two duties as the IT director and as the LCTV, so go back there and get back on that camera. And I thank your brother for running it for you while you were there. Miss Norman wants to run it now, I think, so.
She's trying to get out of the camera.
Item 16, mutual aid agreement for fire services, Director Broom.
Mr. Chairman, Columbia County sent us a copy of a mutual aid agreement that we would help each other out in times of high volume, disaster, and whatnot. The county attorney has reviewed that document. He feels that it's in order. I have reviewed it. I feel it's in order. Y'all saw it in the work session. My recommendation is that you approve for the chairman and I to sign that mutual aid agreement.
You heard the recommendation of Director Broom that was giving he and I and possibly the clerk the authority to sign the agreement. You would be Lincoln County Fire Chief. Well, you must have had a mighty important meeting to be coming to this one an hour late. This is simply a mutual aid agreement with Columbia and Lincoln County to help our either county with firemen. Is there a motion that we approve the mutual aid agreement with Columbia County?
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
You have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Wade, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Item number 11 is the aerial photography. Director Seymour.
Chairman, members of the board, you have an agreement in front of you. This is concerning aerial photography for our GIS as well as other departments, not just GIS, but GIS covers a multitude of things. Dispatch, tax assessor's office, addressing out of my office. if you will, if you go on Q Public, just to give you a brief, just very quick, when you're on Q Public and you zoom in real tight, things get pixelated, okay, and you can't see anything, it gets blurry. We have never purchased aerial photography for the county. We've always used free aerial photography that was due to us. This will help not only in dispatch, but also in Mr. Adair's office, helping assessments of property. This contract is a 3-year contract with an option to extend it an additional 3 years for a second fly in 3 years. We would get the photography in the first year. We would pay for it over the next 3 years at the amount of about $13,229 and some change. I asked for your approval for this contract. It is a budgeted item. It is in the GIS budget that's been approved, and I asked for your approval of the contract.
Gentlemen, I know you're all familiar with it. We studied it in the work session. Is there a motion we accept the recommendation of the director that we sign this agreement with the aerial photography? Entertain a motion.
I made that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I second.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Williams. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion is carried. Number 12, Convenience Center Waste Oil, Director Seymour.
Commissioner, we in the past have taken waste oil out at the convenience center at no charge to the customer. However, over the last several years with things changing in the economy, we either are being charged for picking it up or they come pick it up at no charge. We used to get paid for it. Those times have changed. We've also had some instances where we were getting people bringing us bulk oil, waste oil, in other words, 55-gallon drums. We are absolutely not set up to take bulk waste. We've got two 250-gallon tanks out there where you would change your oil in your car and you'd bring 2 or 3 gallons out there and you would dump it in and go about your merry way. My recommendation, I looked all around the CSRA, is only one county that takes waste oil currently today. That's McDuffie County. They charge $44 a ton. We don't have any way to weigh anything out there. We don't have a scale. So my recommendation would be that we take waste oil and charge a fee effective, I believe we decided it would be effective next month, first of the month. 0 to 5 gallons will be a flat $5 fee, and 5 to 10 gallons would be $7.50, and then we would not accept anything in bulk over 10 gallons.
Okay, we discussed this in the work session too. I think we understand it. Is there a motion that we accept the recommendation of Director Seymour on waste oil disposal at the convenience center with these numbers listed?
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that
Is there a
we
second?
levy those charges.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Wade, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The motion is carried. Item number 13, courthouse roof replacement. Director Seymour.
Yes, sir. On September the 26th, we opened 2 bids for the re-roofing of the courthouse. The bid proposals, as you are aware, as this commission asked for a complete bid on the roof. That would be taking the green portion, metal portion off and having it put back in, and then there was a deduct if they didn't have to do that. I think one of the commissioners asked me they needed to know what the total cost was going to be going into it and not be surprised if they had to take the green roof off. We had 2 bids, one from Thompson Roofing, one from L&J Roofing. Thompson Roofing did not give us a deduct for the metal roofing, so their bid was $188,920 to replace the EPDM roof, which is a rubber roof, but not taking the green roof off. There's not a deduct in there, so we don't know what that cost would be if we had to do that. L&J Roofing gave us a total project cost of $192,000 with deduct to take the metal roof audit $42,000, which gives her bid at $150,000. My recommendation for this board is to award the low bid to L&J Roofing at $192,000, and that is to replace not only the EPDM roof, but also the metal roof. I think we would be doing ourselves a disservice if we just replaced the rubber roof and not replace the metal roof, and there would be too much of a conflict if something happened where those two meet. I think at this point, the best thing for us to do, money-wise, is to replace it all, get a warranty on the entire roof moving forward. So my recommendation is $192,000 to L&J Roofing.
Okay, you heard the request from the director.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, we approve L&J Roofing.
The president of L&J Roofing is here with us tonight. Miss Grace Gilpin is sitting back there. So there's a locally owned company and a minority-owned company.
In Miss Georgia.
Have a motion by Commissioner Clyde. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Williams, that we accept the bid of $192,000 from L&J Roofing. I think, though, that, well, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? I think we have Director Seymour talked with him today in the office, and I was listening too, and I think it's going to be about a 6-week project. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, and there's going to be areas of the courthouse we're probably going to have to shut off parking lot wise for material and equipment. So we'll have to work around that. We'll come up with a schedule for that and get it to all employees of the courthouse where they'll know what we're doing with days and things of that nature. It'll be a process.
Okay, you got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let me know, saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. The motion is carried. It's awarded to L&J. Item 14 is patching and resurfacing RFP. Director Seymour.
Yes, sir. On October the 2nd, we opened bids for an RFP for paving and patching. We had 3 bids, Reeves Construction, C&H Construction, and ER Snell. Reeves Construction was at $379,668. C&H Paving was $271,729, and ER Snell was $419,371. My recommendation is to approve the low bid of C&H Paving at $271,729.
You heard the request from Director Seymour that accept the low bid of C&H Paving, amount of $271,729, and this is money the T-Splash and the LMEG both.
That is correct.
This is where this money is coming from. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, for the good people on Empty Woodlawn Road, I'll make that motion.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
I make a second for the good people on Shawnee Drive.
Have a motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Wade. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. The motion is carried. Item 15 is county surveyor. As you know, the county surveyor for, I guess, close to 3 decades was Mr. Robert F., better known as Chigga Wilkes, who passed away earlier in the year, which has left a vacancy in the office of the surveyor. We have discussed this also at length and at the work session. Only a few counties out of Georgia's 159 continue to elect a surveyor. It is a non-paying office. It is an office that the county governing authority does not even have to use the county survey to do surveying. You can use a private surveyor. We have 2 surveyors in the county. I don't think either one of them has any interest in running to be the county surveyor. We feel like that this is the time, as we did with the county treasurer's office in 1996, I think, is that we asked Senator Anderson and Representative McCall on a resolution approved by this board that they introduce under local legislation in the General Assembly coming up in 2019, under local legislation, that we abolish the office of the surveyor in Lincoln County. Is there a motion that we send a resolution to our legislative delegation?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Clyde. Any discussion?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Wade.
I'm a big supporter of contracting out. So if we get some local surveyors to do our work, I think it's a good way to go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the motion is carried, and I will ask the clerk to read the proclamation on Cancer Awareness Month.
A proclamation by the Board of Commissioners of Lincoln County by and through its Chief Executive Officer, the Chairman, recognizing the month of October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas every year too many Americans are touched by the pain and hardship caused by breast cancer. And whereas breast cancer is the second most common form of cancer found in women in the United States and is the leading cause of cancer death for women, with 1 in 8 women diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. And whereas more than 2,500 men will likely be diagnosed with some form of breast cancer in 2018, but thanks to early detection and improvement treatment options, deaths from breast cancer have decreased significantly in the last decade. And whereas many people have endured the heartbreak of losing someone to breast cancer and its memories of those loved ones that drive us to find a cure. And whereas all women are encouraged to talk to their health care providers about mammograms and other methods of early detection, as well as their risk of developing breast cancer and what can be done to reduce that risk. And whereas during the month of October, we remember those lost to this terrible disease and stand strong for those currently facing a breast cancer diagnosis, and we strengthen our resolve to do our part in supporting those affected. And whereas by raising awareness of breast cancer and supporting research, prevention, and early detection, we will move closer to eradicating this disease. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners that October is designated as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we urge all Lincoln County residents to spread awareness of this disease, provide support for those affected by this illness, and educate others of its prevention and early detection. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of the county to be affixed this 11th day of October, 2018.
There a motion to give me the authority and the clerk the authority to sign the proclamation on breast cancer awareness for the month of October.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion.
Have a motion by Commissioner Williams. Is there a second?
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Commissioner Wade. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion's carried. Item number 17 is the adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I made the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Williams. Any discussion on the motion? Chair is none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. We stand adjourned.